I'm flipping off my kid off camera, so come to me for all your parenting advice. And hello.
How are you this fine Sunday afternoon?
Some things have happened since we last
So many
spoke.
things. So many things. In
Yeah,
fact, by the time that this episode is released, it won't even be Sunday anymore. So,
it will not. So, the magic of time. Did you ever edit and release the last episode
of
we recorded?
course, I did not. I did not. I did
Oh
not edit
my
it. I just got
God.
so busy. It's still sitting. We're gonna have like such a great archive though of unreleased footage one day if we ever wanted to release that.
Hilarious. Yeah. I was just like, somebody asked me the other day, they were like, hey, I haven't heard a new episode in a while. And I was like, yeah, I think Nicole's really busy and she edits them. And since I don't do that at all, I'm not going to be like, what are you doing?
You know what I'm doing. Fucking busy.
Yeah.
Just
No, same. I mean, I tried to slice my fingers off in the kitchen the other day. So no judgment here.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Tell us more about that. Say more things.
Oh, yeah. So, it turns out a lot of people don't actually know. I was using a mandolin, which it's a chopper that you slide vegetables down and it makes even round slices. I still have band-aids on because they're not anyway, I ended up having to get 7 stitches in these 2 fingers. And there I typically use a no-cut glove when I'm using it because they are in fact very dangerous because the blade is very, very sharp. But I could not immediately locate my no-cut glove, and I was in a hurry because I was trying to get everything prepped while Brinley was at gymnastics. And I just again, there were several plot points along the way where I was like, hey, this is a little dangerous. You should probably just use a knife. But it has been so long since I have hurt myself in the kitchen that I got overconfident. That's exactly what happened. So I had already sliced a bunch of other vegetables, no issues. And I was slicing sweet potatoes, which are quite firm. Um, and I had a giant sweet potato where it was so big it would barely fit in the track of the mandolin. And so I'd already like sliced one slice and I was like, this is too big. I'm going to slice it in half. And I was like, okay, this is slightly better, but I'm still having to press pretty hard. But oh, well, it's fine. um, then I got to the very end of the sweet potato and I was like, you really should just use a knife. Like, it's fine. Like, just use a knife for this last little bit. But I am such a perfectionist in the kitchen and I wanted all of my rounds to be exactly the same size. So I went ahead and shoved the last little bit through and shoved my fingers right into the blade. And I was home by myself, and it was literally 10 minutes before I had to leave to go get Brinley. And I am not very good at asking for help. So I didn't really, there was not a quickly available solution for me to not have to go get Brinley. Like, there are people that I could theoretically call, but I didn't want to. So I'm like trying to like roll through my head all the first aid things to quickly staunch bleeding because there's a lot of blood, guys. So I'm like running to my kitchen sink, and I'm running cold water on it and to try to get the vessels to constrict a little bit to slow down the blood flow at least. And so then I'm in my kitchen sink and the blood is not stopping. And then I'm like not close to a towel. Well, there was a towel, but it was like my favorite towel and I didn't want to run it. It's fine. So there was not like paper towels or anything close. And so I'm like holding my arm like up here and there's like blood dripping down my elbow, but I'm like, okay, above my heartbeat. Like I'm just like trying to like roll through all of this like nonsensical first aid bullshit in my head. So I like grab a wad of paper towels to like put over my fingers. And then I run into my bathroom and I'm again, blood is just like dripping off of my elbow along the way. And then I get into my bathroom and it's my dominate hand, which is fun too. So I'm rinsing more into the cold water in the sink and I am reaching across to the gauze in the middle drawer in my bathroom. And I'm finally able to get it wrapped around, and I secure it with a Band-Aid. Um, and I'm like, okay, I think that's good enough until I can get Brinley. And I start driving to gymnastics, and I look down, and it's my index finger has started bleeding through the gauze, like the wadded up gauze I have on there. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it just hasn't had like enough time. But I noticed when I had put the gauze on my thumb that I thought it had sealed up pretty good. So I was like, probably I just like nicked that. That's probably fine. So we get home, and I am like super chill because I never want to make Brinley anxious, right? Like it's just been the two of us for a really long time. And like I never want her to feel like she needs to worry in an emergency situation. Like that's never helpful for anybody. Like you need to just move to the next step. So we get home, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, like I need to check this gauze. Like I'm going to pull this off, and we might need to go to the emergency room. I might need some stitches. I just don't know how bad it is yet because I couldn't see how bad it was before I put the gauze on there because of all the blood. So when I pull the gauze off of my fingertips, my finger is like literally, it's split in half, like just a few centimeters. It's not like gigantic or anything, but it's definitely like, it needs stitches. So even though it's no longer gushing blood, it's clotted up pretty good, but like it won't like hold close on its own. Like I'm going to have to go get stitches. So I don't even like bother looking at my thumb because I'm like, okay, I have to go to the nursery room. So I tell B, I'm like, hey, like we got to go. So, go ahead and go get your phone and some headphones and a phone charger because, it's the emergency room. It takes forever. So, but I'm being very chill. So 30 minutes later, I'm like, hey, B, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I went and laid down. And I'm like, so when I say we need to go to the emergency room, that needs to imply a sense of urgency. I'm so sorry that maybe I had never told you that before.
That emergency means emergent.
Yeah. So let that be a lesson to you. If you are calm in an emergency, you have to impress upon your children that they need to hurry. So once I got to the emergency room, shout out to St. Francis. I think they did a good job. It was so crowded in there. Like we're still getting the tail end of respiratory season here. So it was so incredibly crowded. Like I literally walked in and I was like, oh, give me a mask, please. Because that's just what I need is like the flu on top of this. So I walked in and they are immediately like, okay, let's just check to make sure you still have your fingers. And I was like, I do, I promise, but yes. And so they pull off my gauze job and they put on another gauze job. And then they take me back and check my vitals and they give me a DTaP, which is for diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. And so that's fun. And then I have to wait on an x-ray because, it's so deep that it could have caused trauma to my bone or chipped off a piece of the blade. So I have to check for foreign substances. And so then I don't know if all emergency rooms are like this now. I don't spend a lot of time there, but you go back and forth now. Like you go to the waiting room and then you go to the back and then you come back out to the waiting room. So I have to go back out to the waiting room and then I go back to x-ray, but fairly quickly. I don't have any complaints because again, it's the emergency room. You expect to take a long time. They pull off the gauze to x-ray it and it pulls off the scabby clots on both of them. And I start gushing blood all over the x-ray room. It's like puddles of blood everywhere, like all over the x-ray film, all over the exam table, all over the floor. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. And like, I haven't had anything to eat because my migraine meds had a dose change. And so I've been having some nausea. And so I was prepping dinner when this happened. And so at this point, I'm feeling like pretty vasovaguely. And I'm just like, Oh God. And I'm also starting to chatter like anxiously, like this is really embarrassing and I'm so sorry. And the x-ray tech is like, you're totally fine. It's totally fine. Like,
They've probably seen
but
something, they've seen worse.
perhaps, but they do not have any gauze in the x-ray room. So he has to give me washcloths. But the
Ew.
washcloths are not like containing the blood because they're the weird washcloths from the hospital that are, I don't know, like scotch guarded or something because they've been washed so many times. Do you know what I mean? Where they're not really
Yeah.
absorbent anymore.
Yeah.
So I have them like wrapping my hand, but they're still like dripping blood as I'm like walking. So I have to go back to the waiting room. And people are getting mad in the waiting room because I'm getting called before them. So then I'm back in the waiting room and people are just staring at me with my bloody washcloths. And then I get called back again for suturing. And a woman jumps up and starts screaming that she's been there for 7 hours and they've done nothing for her while I've been called back 3 times now. And I'm like, with my blood dripping, like, and like everyone just ignores her. And so I just do too. And I went back to the back. And at this point, I have had somebody come and get Brinley because it's like 10. And I'm like, yeah, she can just go home and go to bed because it's going to be a minute. And so they come. So then they come, but they have already digiblocked, which is lidocaine 1 digit. So 1 finger. And then the PA got Paige to go to an incoming trauma because I'm at a trauma center. And so I'm like, okay, well, and I go to the nurse's desk and I'm like, hey, somebody's here to give my daughter a ride home. Is it okay if I walk out and pass her off and then come back in? And they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But I can't feel my finger. So I'm trying not to hit it on anything because it's also, split like in half-ish. It's like everything is just incredibly awkward. So I go walk her back and then walk her back in, and then walk back in, and I have to like go past security at the hospital because once you leave, they don't want to let you back in. And I finally flagged down the nurse that had let me out, and she was like, oh yeah, she's good. So I got to go back in. And when they finally started suturing, the tissue ripped out of my finger and they had to suture twice. So that also wasn't fun. So, and then he was like, does this need stitched too? Talking about my thumb. And I was like, oh no, I don't think so. And then he looked at it and he was like, let's just take a look at this together, shall we? And he pinched it and it like gaped wide open. So then I got another 3 stitches in my thumb too. So 0 out of 10 recommend, because then when I went to get the stitches out, it took 3 people to get the stitches out too, because he sutured them so tightly that they couldn't get the removal scissors underneath them to cut them. So the moral of the story is never use a mandolin without a no-cut glove, because I'm still having to wear Band-Aids because I've already split my finger back open.
This is, do you remember last summer when Logan's cucumber, sometimes you just need to eat a whole cucumber, was going viral on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of mandolin related incidents.
Yeah.
That really brought mandolin safety to the forefront of like, girl, you
can literally get 2 no-cut gloves for $10. Like, please do that.
yes, please do that. Please do that. Like a lot of mandolins now come with a guard. Mine has a little, so that you don't hold it, you just like stick it in there.
So I tore the guard off mine because I got ticked off. Again, there were lots of red flags along the way, but I did that a very long time ago. Like, I have been using this thing forever without hurting myself. I've never cut myself a single time. But I need you to know, because of the bad juju, I threw it away and bought a new one. Just FYI.
That's fair. That's fair. There's also there are also mandolins where you like feed it into and then you just like press the it's like the blade
Yeah,
moves up and down. I
I
kind of
saw
want one of
that
those.
too. Yeah, but I feel like that's hard to clean, and I get weirded out about veggie bacteria, of course.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah,
Uh
not to be
yeah.
deterred by the blood bacteria that was in my old one.
Right. Right. Blood. The human flesh particles that are now in that one.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
in the trash now, so.
It's fine. It's fine. No, I purposely did not tell my husband about your mandolin incident because he hates our mandolin. Like he saw me using it and I washed it because I'm like, you don't have to touch it. I know that you're like terrified of this thing. It's totally fine. I'll do everything. So it's like sitting on the drying rack where we like keep our dishes, and he points to it and he goes, "Kids, this is the most dangerous item in our house." He's like, "Don't
I
ever
can't
touch
tell
it."
you how many doctors were like, "Yeah, that'll do it." And I'm like, "Okay, like, I get it, but I have never hurt myself on this thing, and I've been using it at least 10 years." Like
I know. I've had mine for a long time, but I'm also scared of it. So there was a lot of years I didn't use it because I'm just scared of it. But recently, so if you want thinly sliced beef, it's like kind of expensive, right? Especially like in the Bay Area, a lot of Asians use it for a hot pot. And I really wanted some thinly sliced beef for Philly cheesesteak sandwiches for the Super Bowl.
Ooh, yes.
But I didn't want to spend a shit ton of money on it, so I just bought some like steak at Costco, froze it, and then just used the mandolin. And the entire time I was so scared, but it freaking worked. So now I'm
Incredible.
like, I'm cautiously still using it.
Okay, well, don't get overconfident. Like, if
I
you need a
know, I'm
pair
so
of no-cut
scared.
gloves, let me know. I'll ship you one
I'm so
pair.
scared because we're almost out of the thinly sliced beef now. So I need to like make some more.
Get some no-cut gloves, and then you can't hurt yourself.
So it's funny because I did look at some no cut gloves after I like made all
Yeah.
this like thinly sliced beef. And I was looking at them and some other reviews were like, this is no good. These gloves are no good because see, the glove did get cut when I was using my mandolin. And I was like,
How hard are you shoving your hand in the blade?
and also, if your fingers are intact, like I'm willing to pay an
And it
extra,
worked.
like another $5 for another glove.
Yes, that's
like,
insane. Oh my God. Listen, I'm telling you, like, I would pay a lot of money now in retrospect. Like, I got two for $10, but like, I would pay more than that.
girl, you are about to pay that in healthcare bills.
I don't, you know what's weird is they actually didn't even collect my copay at the emergency room, and I like tried to pay them.
That's so weird. That's because they're just gonna bill you. They're gonna bill you later. Be like, you
Yeah,
didn't pay
I'm
this at the time.
looking forward to it.
Oh
So
man.
that was the dumbest thing I've done recently.
But you know what? You know what? You still have your fingers.
That's
And
true.
and I feel like if you ever commit a crime, those two fingerprints will be like untraceable now.
No, I think they'll be more traceable because they have a distinctive scar in them.
Okay. Well, if you had committed any crimes in the past, or if your
Oh,
fingerprints
you're
are in the
right.
system in the past, then they're different now. New
Well, I should have been
identity.
making worse choices in the past. You know what? No, I've already made enough bad choices, I think. Oh, good
Good
Lord.
times, good times, good times. My God. My God. Okay. Let's see. What's up next on the docket? Do we want to talk about the sadness that is March Madness?
We can. I mean, my bracket got busted pretty much immediately because that's what happens when you vote with your heart.
You know what? I don't even. This is for the listeners in case you don't know us, which there's like three of you, so of course you do know us. Nikki is an alumna of OU. Did I use that word correctly? Alumni. Alumna is plural.
I thought alumni was plural, but I don't know.
Whatever. You went to OU.
You're the words. Yes.
You went to OU. I went to KU. KU is nothing if not just a straight up basketball school. Like, that's where the rules of basketball were invented. James Naismith, the inventor of Post-its, I'm just kidding, the inventor of basketball rules, uh, went there. Or no, he didn't go there. He was like coach there. And that's where, like, it's just like a big blue blood basketball school. And this is the first time since 2006 that KU has been knocked out in the first round. And I'm sure that makes a lot of people really sad. And the school that knocked them out in 2006 was Bradley. And I know this because I was there. I was in school. It
Yeah.
was a very sad time. People were very sad. Very, very sad.
Well,
But
my school also got knocked out on the first round
yeah.
because when you can't, shoot, like I think they shot, was it 28% or something ridiculous? It was something insane. I don't even know.
Oh.
That's
Wait,
what
who knocked
happens.
you?
You can't, uh, UConn.
UConn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there's no shame in being knocked out by UConn because they're on and off,
No.
like, fairly good every once in a while. Like, every few years, they're, like, pretty good. He was fucking knocked
Yeah,
out by
yeah.
Arkansas. Arkansas.
I picked Arkansas to win.
Fuck you. Yeah. That's just because you
No,
don't like KU. I don't know what to tell you.
no. It is because Coach Cal has been doing a great job in Arkansas.
Like Calipari? Wasn't he
Yeah.
the old Kentucky coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing a great job there, and so I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, of course. He is like the king of one and dones. Like,
Well, he just beat Patino too, so
there's long-standing hatred there. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, he beat the number 7 seed and then he beat the number 2 seed with the number 10 seed. So
That's fine. Whatever. He's just making Arkansas something out of nothing. That's totally fine. KU didn't have the
no,
team
I
this
get
year
it.
anyway. Like, that's fine. KU,
Yeah.
every like 20 years needs to just be like knocked on its ass and be like, don't forget where you came from, because
Yeah.
and I hope that this is like a rally for them, because after KU was knocked out in 2006, in the first round, they went on to win the whole thing in 2008.
Yeah, I think they're going to be
So,
really good next year.
everyone says that. We lost a couple people to the draft last year. That's fine.
Oh my gosh, the transfer portal is also just rough.
That is an interesting. It's an interesting system.
Uh-huh. So like our freshman Fears, who is a phenomenal player, like we're not going to have him next year. Right? Like he's
Yeah.
supposed to be in high school right now, but like he won't be, he'll either be in the NBA or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So at least Texas didn't even make it in. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine. That's fine.
You know what I did get to watch? I did get to watch the OU women beat FGCU. Yes.
What is that?
Florida Gulf Coast. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. Wow.
So that was nice. Norman was hosting. I would go to the game tomorrow too, but it's on a Monday at 3:00 in the afternoon. So some of us have full-time jobs. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I feel like a lot of people that go to the Big 12 games, like,
We're in the
you can
SEC
afford to.
now.
Well, KU isn't. KU is still in the Big 12, so fuck you.
Yeah.
All of you
it's still
who
weird
left
for
the
me
Big
too.
12. That's fine. Whatever. Fine. Whatever. I'm just saying. I
Fair
got my
enough.
spring break back. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, fine. College sports.
I'm saying, yeah, the March Madness letdown is very real this year. Like,
It
I
is.
like
Yeah.
within like the first round, my bracket was a huge hot mess. Like, I was like, okay, that's fine. Drake.
Oh yeah, Drake. I feel like there's like a couple of schools that every few years like make an appearance, and then you're like, where did these guys come from? Drake is like one of them.
McNeese beat somebody.
There's a couple of years where like
Which
Wichita was making it.
Oh, they beat Clemson. Which
Wichita beat
what's his
Clemson?
face? No, McNeese beat Clemson.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure. And then, I really thought a couple of people were going to win, and then they just didn't end up. But their seed said they weren't going to, so I probably can't talk shit about that. So
And I mean, you know what?
I
There's
really thought that Vandy was going to do better than they did, and then they just did not. So there's that.
They have to stick with what they're good at, and that is educating smart people.
That's fair enough. But they only lost by 3 to St. Mary's, so.
St. Mary's, Jesus, they can't even pull that one. Like,
I mean, St. Mary's was 7 and they were 10, so.
It's still pretty even.
Yeah. What are you going to do? And I thought that VCU was going to beat BYU. Just looking at my bracket here.
Virginia Commonwealth? Yeah. I don't know. BYU, every few years. That's one of those teams where, like, every few years they have, like, a decent player. Who was their player a few years ago that was, like...
I'm never going to remember names. Not ever.
You're right. It's, like, so... There's, like, so many of them. Okay. In other news... U.S. astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore have returned from space after 9 months.
They made it
9
home.
months. They did. I'm so happy for them. Yes. I think they get, like, hazard pay. It's, like, an extra, like, $30 per day that they're, like, stuck up in space.
I mean, I don't feel like that's enough, but it's probably in their contract, so.
Yeah, because I think, like, I mean, who expects to just be stuck in space for 9 months? It's just, like, such an...
Do you think that it would be the same as, like, being deployed, active duty in the military, though?
How much is their hazard pay? I'm sure it's, like, a lot. It's got to be, right?
It's a lot more, but I feel like that's just as dangerous, arguably. So I'm not sure.
But I don't know. I wonder if, like, I actually feel like being deployed is maybe, like, more dangerous because it's, like, the human element that is so unpredictable.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Whereas, like, in space, it's just, like, the technological elements.
I guess. I don't know. I start getting way in my head about space and how, like, it seems like it's pretty hard for us to come get you from there.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it is not where, like, we're like, you know what? Can you just position yourself over, like, North America?
Yeah.
Falling.
Like, I think that they are both incredibly dangerous. I am not downplaying being deployed in any way. Like, that is so, so terribly dangerous. Like, the day-to-day, like, stuff in space is less, like, dangerous in that way, where nobody is actively trying to kill you. Like, humans aren't trying to get you. It's just literally your whole environment can kill you at any time.
Right. It's just such a violently inhospitable environment.
Yeah. Like, and if anything goes wrong, you're kind of SOL.
Right. There's not even, like, oh, no, this is, like, it's not like in the movies where, like, it's a countdown of, like, 8 hours to solve this problem. It's like, no, this is it.
You're dead.
Yeah. This is the moment.
Yeah. If you're out of food or if you're out of anything, like, well.
That's pretty much it. That's it.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Congratulations to them. They made it home. And now, the most that I've seen, like, discourse about this is how Suni's appearance is now after 9 months. And I'm just like, so girl wasn't able to make it to the hairstylist to get her roots touched up, and that's what we're talking about?
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
She was a little busy.
Yeah. Jesus, people are the worst.
They really, really are. They really are. And I think it just goes to show that there's no possible way for, like, women to ever just
win.
Correct. Or just exist. Just exist. Yeah. It's disappointing.
Yeah, literally,
sure.
she's been in space for 9 months, and I've been sitting on my couch for the last 9 months. So,
right. But you know what? Her appearance.
Yeah, because I am rocking this lip. And, like, she had some space helmet hair.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like,
oh God. People make me want to commit crimes.
Yes. Which, this is a little bit out of order, but I saw something the other day that was about when you get the ick, when, like, someone else gives you the ick. and how that's not just like women being too uppity or like too full of themselves. If a guy does something that gives her the ick, and then she's kind of like, I'm not really interested anymore, right? It's actually an evolutionary response
Yeah.
when you're like in the wild and trying to judge, like, do I think that this person is actually going to be a good
A good
provider?
provider.
It's
Yeah.
going to be like
Doesn't
smart
everybody know
enough
that?
that I would want to like carry this genetics on, right? And if you do something
Mm-hmm.
incredibly stupid or shallow or just make like dumb judgments that give women that's literally their evolutionary response to be like, he's not going to be a good, yes, yes, yes. And then men
Yeah.
just now like are being like, oh, well, it's just something that women have just cooked up these days. It's like, no, we're just
It's
like
actually the
sharing it
opposite.
now. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
actually like maybe one of the first things that we've ever felt
Yeah.
emotionally. It's the ick from you.
Yeah. I thought everybody knew that. That's like your gut. It's your gut being like, oh.
I think women knew that.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
women have
Like,
always known that,
mm-mm.
right? Or I think society has also trained women the past few hundred years to push aside the ick.
Yeah. No. I'm no
Yeah,
longer doing that for
don't trust
basically
yourself. Yeah.
anything. That's why I've been single for 12 years.
Right. Right. Sometimes the ick is just your better judgment.
Mhm. Yeah. That's why I've been single for this long. And it's because I live here.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, speaking of, you know why it's fine? Have you heard? Okay, so this might be a hyper local gossip to the Bay
Oh,
Area,
I'm
but
ready.
there is this content creator. Her name is Sarah Kim, and her husband Andrew Min, and they have kind of like
Ooh, I
made
did see that.
waves.
Okay, but then, okay, this is what my perception is. So she's like really pregnant and she's been doing all of the things, and then she came home and he was doing nothing or something. This is what I've gathered from TikTok.
I mean, that's the gist. She has two jobs,
Mhm.
and I've heard that they're like two full-time jobs. She's
Okay. I
pregnant.
didn't know she
She
had
has
two jobs. I thought she had like a full-time job and then was also a content creator.
I don't know how they're classifying this second job. I have seen multiple different places being like, it's another full-time job. I've seen another place being like, well, it's her content stuff. Um, which whatever the case is, she's definitely working more than like the 40 hours at just like a one
Mhm.
job. Um, let's see what else. When she has to come into the office, which is not every day, it's like a couple times a week, she has to commute like an hour and a half in. Her husband doesn't work. I guess he has been out of work for the past like 2 years and has just now gotten a new job as like a pastor.
See,
Um,
oh look, there was my ick. There was my
yeah,
ick.
yes. And so people are like, well, why is her husband not driving her to work or at least driving her to the train station? Right? Like, why does her dad have to like come get her after work so she doesn't have to walk home in the rain? Like, why? Right? And like, um, I think where it went viral, where people like picked up on this, is because she actually doesn't make content like talking about this. She just makes content like, here's a day in the life of someone who has to like commute into the office, or like, here is a video of me making recipes with my mom, you know, stuff like that. It's very wholesome content. But how it went viral is because the husband made a sermon. Just it seemed did not seem to be any religious point. It was just him ranting about his wife. And you know what? He started off by saying, there's this person who lives in my house that makes fun of me when I'm learning Korean, and she's just a horrible person. And he goes, and there's no resolution to that story. So I guess I'm just doomed. And then he like moves on to the next story. And it's just like, weren't you supposed to tie that back to like some lesson about like graciousness or forgiveness or like communication,
Literally anything,
like
my guy.
anything, right? No, he just like uses these sermons
To
as
berate
like,
his wife.
yeah, and like vent. It's like, sir, a therapist. Just
I'm begging you.
right. And so then people started going through the content, the rest of that sermon. I guess they just started a podcast, all these things. And it was like, girl, he hates you. he has never said one kind thing about you. He actively goes out of his way to like make your life miserable. Like, why are you with him? And then there's been this whole discourse about the Korean American Christian church experience and how men are just kind of raised to be like, as long as you're a devout, Christian, that's fine. That's all you need. That means you're successful in life, and then everyone else has to hand you everything, which I think is also just a distinctly Asian trait in general of how families raise their sons, which is a very outdated notion. The buck stops here in this generation, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such a crazy discourse. And now the fans are saying, because Sarah came out with this video that was very much like, oh, that's just how we interact. Like, we support each other always, even if he was out of a job. There have been times where I've been out of a job, and all of these other things. And I understand from her perspective, everyone wants her to leave him. She's pregnant, right? Like, she's not gonna leave him. She's just not. She's gonna keep making excuses for him. And even though she, in her core, knows that it's wrong, she's not going to. He's older, right? I think they've known each other since she was a teenager.
Oh, ick number 2.
Right? And he's like significantly older, like 8 to 10 years older than her. Could you imagine being almost 30 being like, yeah, that high schooler? No, bro.
No.
Right. And so you just know that she's not going to leave him. And so now the fans are like, she doesn't want to be saved, And that's really sad, because what do you do? What do you do? He's not going to change.
I mean, there's
it's not going to get better.
Nothing to do.
Yeah.
No, that's really hard. So we understand that there are a million reasons that people might stay in unhappy marriages, right? We're not judging that, because
I mean, we are a little.
might not... I mean, I definitely had to stay until I could financially leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people can't stay because it's not safe for them to leave. I don't know. It makes me sad for them, I think.
Yeah.
Because I left because I did not want my daughter to think that that's how marriage should be, and that that's how men should treat you, and that that's what a relationship should look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I now, like, with this creator that she's pregnant, like, what are you teaching your child?
Right. And that's, I think there's a lot of people also who will stay knowing that they're not setting a great example. I think a lot of people like hope that their partner will change, or they believe that their partner will change, or
they're not changing.
Right. Or you think that, like, even though you are setting this example, you can like tell your kids like live their lives a different way, and that doesn't necessarily translate.
Yeah. I'm a big breaking the cycle person. Like, we don't hit kids in my house. We don't change. We don't try to change. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Earlier I told Brinley I've never wanted to hit a kid more ever. So she just peeked her head around the corner just now. You need help? Yeah. Oh, you're trying to get Nicole to call DHS? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well,
you feel unsafe here.
I regularly tell my children, and I've gotten a little too comfortable with this because I need to like reel it back a little. I say in public sometimes that I will beat them. Like, if you don't do this thing, I will beat you. And then
she tells her kids she'll beat them. Listen, I'm pretty sure that Oklahoma DHS has more important things to worry about than me saying I've never wanted to hit a kid more.
I'm pretty sure that's a recommended.
Your butt.
Yeah,
jokingly. Oh my God!
I'm pretty sure that beating is still in the recommended punishments in DCH handbook, Oklahoma.
Yeah, as long as you don't leave a lasting mark, I think. I'm not kidding. I think that's the rule. As long as I don't leave a bruise, it's allowed here.
It's wonderful. Do you know what's fantastic though about kids with darker complexion is that they don't bruise as easily, as visibly. For
So what you're
instance,
recommending is I wait until the summertime.
yes, yes. What did
No,
she
I
burn
don't
her lip
remember
on her own
that.
food?
When did you burn your lip? Oh, that's right. Did you hear that story? We were
I
making
heard part of it.
s'mores and she burnt her lip. And they stopped me at carpool to ask about it.
And you're like, yeah, she didn't blow on her fucking marshmallow.
No, a leaf ember literally landed on her.
Oh my God. No, one time Grace,
Okay, I'm trying to record a podcast episode. Get your shit together. Yeah, it's a big secret.
no, for like 2 years, Grace went around telling everyone that I like burnt her hand and like wasn't sorry about it because we were making s'mores and a piece of marshmallow melted and like dripped onto her hand.
Oh my God.
And she was like, yeah, my mom didn't care that I got burnt. And I was like, oh dear.
Well,
Oh
facts are
dear.
facts.
You're you're right. I didn't care because,
And
you
it's still
know,
true.
it's still true. Still true.
Oh, so I just want to say that it's worth leaving if you can do so safely at
Hmm.
all.
Yeah. It definitely is worth leaving. I also think marriages like do have ups and downs, especially as like you are changing as a person.
Leaving if you can.
And it's
Like
worth
it's
leaving.
worth leaving if you can. Yeah.
Usually if you don't have kids yet, just go
Yeah,
go ahead.
definitely don't get married if you don't have kids.
Yeah, definitely just feel free to leave anytime before you have kids.
I will say I do have a friend who doesn't have kids yet, and her husband is incredible. Like, and that's very high praise coming from me about a man.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some
Because
guys out there that are.
yeah. So I will say there are some exceptions. Shout out to Mike, is his name. So, but mostly like if you have any doubts at all, don't do it because it's very hard to undo and expensive. And you cannot
Yeah.
get back the years that you have wasted.
It's true. And then you are really stuck with that person until your child turns 18 and sometimes even beyond that because your child's going to have bigger milestones in life beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, and then you have to put up with that forever and their opinion forever. Like for example, my ex-husband charmingly told our daughter that he thought I was being selfish by setting a boundary around seeing people that I have chosen no longer to see because of their behavior towards me.
Is people him?
No, it is about.
So your ex-husband has opinions about relationships that don't have anything to do with him.
Because well, actually, and it just ended up being because I'm not going to be there for Easter, but I have out of town plans. Like I didn't know it was Easter. I just had already bought concert tickets. And Brinley is going with somebody else, and they're taking her to Six Flags. And so she was like, "Well, I don't want to go to Easter. I want to go to Six Flags."
Well, obviously.
And so my ex-husband decided to tell Brinley that I was being childish because I was preventing Brinley from seeing my grandma during Easter.
Is this the man that literally only sees her a total of what, 36 hours per year?
Yeah, that same
By
guy.
choice?
And I was like,
By choice?
yeah. I was just like, okay, I don't actually care about his opinion. So you might look
Correct.
forward to that if you procreate with somebody that you have some doubts about prior.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if Adam and I were not together, he would be the most annoying person to co-parent with. Like
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, he
He would
would just
definitely
like,
have opinions about your life.
oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Well, and I go by turns being like jealous and also grateful that I don't have to like share friendly. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I never have to like think about like, oh, that's my weekend. That's not my weekend. That's not my, you know what I mean? But I also, whenever she was younger, I never got a break. You know what I mean? Like I never could
Yeah.
be like, oh my God, I just need to tap out for 2.5 seconds, you know, and there are stretches within parenthood where you desperately need that.
Oh my god, yes. Yes.
But I am lucky in that my kid, despite the last little bit, if we leave any of that in, she's a super great, easy kid. But at age 3, she was not like that. Age 4, also a little rough, you know, just because she was a tiny child, right? But like
Yeah.
she, but also like sure, it would be a lot easier if, like, even if he had like a regular schedule where he took her once a month, you know. But I also never had to play the game where, well, that's mine and it needs to stay at my house, and it's, you know, like, well, are you going to pay for any school clothes, or you never, you know, like I pay for all of that, like. So I never did the like little. I mean, I guess we do it because I always just send him a receipt of all of the expenses I pay for just so he can never be a jerk about anything.
Mhm.
Um, because he used to sometimes be like, well, I send you a lot of money a month. And I would be like, do you? And so I just started sending him an accounting of every single thing that I pay for. And
Yeah.
suddenly those messages stopped.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's almost like it costs money, like more money beyond the little pitiful amount that you're sending to raise a child. Like,
Yeah. And I do want to say he pays more than most people do in Oklahoma, which is criminally low here. I think the minimum in Oklahoma is something ridiculous, $267 a month in Oklahoma.
that's disgusting. Like, where is your
It's
child
really gross.
living? In the fourth
Yeah.
dimension where they don't need housing and
It might
clothes?
even be lower than that. It might be $167. Like it's super low. Like, yeah, like I don't even know. But like I pay for her health insurance. I pay for all of her insurance. Like I pay for, you know, she goes to a private school because when we moved here, you know, we moved from like a small town and I didn't want her to just jump into like a great big school district. And then we really loved the school district. So, like the school I put her in. So I just like kept her in there. So now she's about to finish that school out. So then now she's going to go to like a great big public school. So I don't want to talk about my anxiety right now. But like I pay for everything. And so when he was like, I mean, I pay you a lot of money, I was like, okay, bet.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she does gymnastics and that's expensive. And so, but I'm grateful that I have never had to do the bullshit like, well, I'm going to meet you halfway here and you need to come here. And I never, you know, we never argued about any of that because the second he starts like trying to do that stuff, I'm like, this is actually none of your business because if you wanted to step up and actually be a parent, you could have done it about 11 years ago.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. And you know, like it's so crazy because I think we all have friends. We've all heard the stories, right? Someone close in my life, you know, when their kid was little, had like a winter jacket. And it gets pretty cold in Kansas during the winter, right? So she would send her kid to the dad's house with the jacket. The kid would come home without the coat. And so
mhm,
she would buy another coat and send the kid. And then the kid would come back without a coat. And so there was like one time where she had like bought like 3 or 4 coats by this point. And this is over a series of like, you know, because the kid would go to their dad's house like every other weekend. Right. So this is
mhm.
over a series of like, you know, one winter. And so finally she was like, fine, you have like 4 winter coats of this child. I'm going to send the kid to the parents' house without a coat because all of the coats are there. And so the dad threatened to take the child away because she did not send him with a coat. And
Yeah,
she's like,
you have all the
because
coats.
you have all the coats. And if you had sent the child to school with one of the coats in the first place, then he would be wearing a coat now coming to your house. Right? You see how that? God damn it! I gotta
Yeah.
turn this off. But it's like, do you see? It's like standards for thee, but
Yeah.
not for me, right? So like, it's okay if the dad keeps all of the clothes and then doesn't send the child to school dressed appropriately. But if the mom is like, well, fine, well, you have all the appropriate clothes, I'm going to send the child to your house so that the child can receive the clothes. Then the dad is like all up in arms because you didn't want to go buy your 67th winter coat for that year.
Yeah. And I do not put up with any men telling me that like they are denied access to their kid. No, they're not. You're not. Not ever. Not a single time ever have I seen that happen. And I don't need any new girlfriends riding to your new man's defense either. That has never once happened, my girl. It hasn't. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that he told you that and you believed it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't
I
happen.
will. You know, it's actually kind of funny to me now that we had this little evolutionary talk. Is that men like to say, "Well, it's just evolution that we need to go spread our seed as far and wide as possible." But
Look, another egg.
actually, yeah. But actually, is it not the evolutionary just like trajectory that women would just choose the best partner to like procreate with, and it's not necessarily the same one?
Yeah. And also, wouldn't you pick the one that's more likely to help your progeny to adulthood?
Right. Right. Ugh.
Again, they stay the worst.
They really do. They really do. We can go off on another tangent and talk about what's happening in the political landscape. How much time do we have?
Okay. I think that we can sum it up by saying the march towards fascism is happening at a quick gallop. Uh, and we should all worry about the elimination of due process for everyone. And I don't care where you stand politically. When you eliminate due process, it's a big problem because then you don't make sure that you're arresting the right people.
Right. And then anyone can be arrested for anything because it's like, right now we're like, well, you can't unlawfully detain someone. If you're accusing them of doing something bad, well, then prove it. Right. Which is why Casey Anthony is not fucking in jail and she's on TikTok instead. And
I swear to God, if I see anybody I know following her, I will read them the riot act.
I did hear that she has a small following and that some people are like, listen, I'm just following her to like literally keep tabs on her.
No, don't give
To
her
like see
money.
if she'll like slip up.
No.
You're right, you're right. I mean, I'm not following her, but anyway, she's gonna write like a fictional like how to kill your child book.
Jesus Christ.
I just know she is. Anyway,
The worst.
yeah. So basically anyone can just accuse you of anything. I mean, and this is not even new. Like this has all been done.
Mm-mm.
And it's all been done recently, right? So
Yeah. And
we're
authoritarian regimes.
yeah. And what is they're invoking a lot of the stuff, the Alien Invasion Act or whatever that they used to put all of the Japanese citizens into detainment camps during World
Yeah,
War II.
racist. Yeah, it's like they
Right.
have to like look up racist laws from the 1800s or you know what I mean? Like the 1900s,
Of
I guess.
course.
But like what in the actual hell is happening? And the way that I'm so angry at the Democratic Party, like I stay mad at Republicans, right? Like I stay mad at Republicans because,
Always.
oh,
Yeah.
you guys were just like waiting for a chance to just like rip off your mask of like the very
You're
thin
their
veneer
hood.
you had covering. Yeah, exactly. So whatever. I already knew that about you. But like the Democratic Party, like, how dare you wear your little pink outfits and bring your little signs to the State of the Union like it's your job to protest. No, it's your job to do something. It is your job to do something. It is our job to protest because we have no other recourse legally. You, on the other hand, have legal recourse. Stop doing nothing and start doing something. And Chuck Schumer, I hope you get primaried. I hope you get primaried and lose your damn job because you gave away the one bit of leverage we had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gross. Ugh.
So I was chatting with someone the other day. I won't name names. I'll text you after.
Okay.
And we were talking about the internment camps and I was saying how they are inherently racist. And the person I was chatting with was saying, no, that wasn't racist. And I was like, okay, then
Excuse me? Nobody that looked
why?
like me got put into them. That's weird.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. And I said, if I recall correctly, we were, fighting against the Germans and against Italy and against the Japanese. So why were only the Japanese interred? And you know what
It's
this
weird.
person said to me? Oh, it's because they didn't look like us. And I stared at this person, this white person.
That's literally what racism is, dude.
Yes. And also, who is us? Hello,
Gross.
my white guy. Who is us? Who
You
didn't
keep
look like us?
you keep triggering my ick.
Because I'm fairly certain that they didn't actually care if you were Japanese. Right?
No.
If this person, and this is like fairly well documented, like especially in California, that Japanese farmers had really great farms. They were following ancient, like their Japanese like cultural farming practices that were different from westernized cultivation practices. And and in that same vein, westernized farming practices got us the fucking dust bowl, right? So that's what's happening. And Japanese crops are like just doing better. And so white farmers got jealous and said, well, it's because they have better land. My next door neighbor's land is better than mine. And so then they would just call up these internment camps and be like, hey, I got one for you. And then they would go and take over their neighbors' farms. And a lot of these Japanese people who were interred did not get their property back, did not get like family heirlooms back, did not get their homes back, their farms back. Right. And so this is just a way to like get something that you
Oh,
wanted,
the
essentially.
imperialist? Yep.
Right. And so I'm
Gross.
just like, of course it's rooted in racism.
Racist.
Of
Yeah.
course. That's literally. So anyway, that's why.
What an odd thing to say out loud.
Yeah. And I feel like the person I was chatting with just like did not get it.
Oh, was he
They just didn't
white?
get it. Of course. Of course he was white. But I think that
Did he
also just
ask you
goes to
if you
show
were
that like,
Japanese?
of course not, because they know. But they also know that I'm not white. I mean, even if we were perfect strangers, I feel like you would
Are
be
you
able to
not white?
tell like fairly quickly.
This is brand new information.
I know. I know. I don't know what's giving it away. It's probably like my collarbones or something. That's the
Oh my god.
So yeah, it just makes sense that they would be invoking the same
I'm
laws that
sorry
they
that happened to you.
That's
That
fine.
conversation, to be clear.
Yeah, yeah. Not the internment. I haven't been interred yet.
Not yet, but
Yeah.
maybe next week.
Maybe
Ugh.
next time. Although, we do kind of joke sometimes about how if they're just like deporting people who are like not born here, how South Korea is looking. That might be fine. That might be fun.
Yeah, I'm going with you, and my skin is going to be top notch.
Right. It's gonna be think of all that free healthcare. Or like I don't think it's free, but it's like extremely cheap.
I mean, I think anywhere compared to here is cheap.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
We literally have the most expensive healthcare in the world with the worst outcomes. Like, how is
literally.
that?
Literally. Insanity.
So I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
Like a new adventure. Our kids might
Also,
struggle a little
no, they're gonna be fine. You know why? Because there have been
because they're
so
pretty.
many, not to Asian standards, but no, because there's so many Korean adoptees that are around my age. So they all like,
Oh,
basically we'll just have our own little expat enclave
okay.
in Korea. And then all of our kids
Okay.
will be like these American Korean babies who are not babies. They're like,
I will feel even taller than I already do, but I will suffer for you.
yeah, I appreciate that. But you won't be alone because Brinley is tall. Grace is tall. Grace is a tall Asian.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like one of the micro petite
I
Asians.
bet Grace is taller than Brinley now. How tall is Grace?
She's taller than me. She's like 5'4".
Oh, because I'm not quite, but Brinley's only 5'5.5".
So our listeners, Brinley is almost a full year older. Yeah. In the last checkup, so we went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and then the time before that was like right before Thanksgiving. Grace had grown 3/4 of an inch since November.
Yeah, B grew half an inch. So, but they think that she's growing. Like those are her last big growth spurts, probably.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Because like if you like look at the growth chart, you can kind of sort of like
Mm-hmm.
project like how tall they might be as adults. And Grace
Mm-hmm.
has always projected to be like 6 foot tall, which means
Yeah.
that she would have to grow like 10 inches in the next year.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot.
Well, she might grow later. They're just basing that off of when I stopped growing.
Yeah, I stopped growing literally when I was like, let's see, Grace is in the 6th grade. I stopped growing. I had like not grown at all, like 8th grade year. So I think I had stopped growing somewhere in like 7th-ish grade. So she's got another year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
So B's
still.
already in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then poor Sawyer, if he follows his dad's trajectory, he is just going to keep growing until he's like into his 20s, which
Well,
is so unfortunate for his like, basketball career goals.
maybe or maybe not. Maybe it'll be great.
Mm,
I'm excited to see you guys.
I know. Nikki's gonna come visit in a couple of weeks. Let me look at the calendar because what is this countdown? Let's see. It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 15 days, I think.
Yeah, I'm so
17 days?
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
the
I need to
9th.
book my return ticket home. I got the important
Details. Yeah,
one.
details. Yeah, I already have like a full itinerary for us for the first couple of days. I'm really excited. We're gonna go to the Le Creuset factory to table sale, which is in San Jose. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Pretty dishes.
Pretty dishes. I'm so pumped. Okay. What else? Ooh, should we do a book check-in?
Ooh, let's.
Okay.
Okay. I'm reading a book right now called Fairy and I would love to tell you what it's about, but I'm actually not sure. I cannot tell you. I think that it's kind of dark fantasy, maybe like some bad things keep happening to her. I think that she is maybe reliving a past life type situation. It's definitely got some magical elements, but again, not sure. She has to go to this town because she has inherited something, but it's interesting, but I don't know what's happening really. I'm not very far into it. I'm maybe like actually, I'm a third of the way into it, and I still am not sure. I don't even know what kind of supernatural beings they are. So I don't. I recommend it, but not if you are not a patient person, Nicole.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
am listening to Gideon the Ninth, which my friend Maggie recommended. And I keep starting it and then something keeps happening and I don't end up finishing it. But I finally got to a point where I'm not going to put it down now because it's like gotten to like a super good part. So basically there are 9 different houses in this universe that they live in, and she was adopted. Like she wasn't born in the night, but she was adopted from there. And now they are somewhere else, and she has been training to be a warrior to try to escape the ninth. And this is an opportunity for her to prove that in a different way than she was expecting. And the person she's with, they actually hate each other, but she is like the head of the house of the ninth, and she does bone magic. She's a necromancer. Um, and every house has sent what's called a cavalier, so a warrior, and a necromancer. And they're trying to reach this level of some, they have a word for it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it's like a series of tests of some kind. So it's really interesting, and I'm into it. And it's called Gideon the Ninth.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is really interesting, but like for some reason the ninth is like super, nobody ever comes and visits them or anything, so nobody knows anything about it, and it's all shrouded in mystery. And everybody's kind of afraid of them, and poor Gideon's like her Nona is the necromancer, has like forbade her to speak to anybody so that they can't know anything. Um And so she's like constantly like trying to not unravel the mystery surrounding them because she is not actually mysterious at all.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
yeah, it's really good. I'm trying to look up the author. It's Tamsin Muir, Muir, and I think it's a series. I think the next one just came out. So
Excellent. All right.
yeah, it's good.
A series,
And
you say?
the it's not finished, so I don't know. But she is from the New Zealand. She's from New Zealand, and I'm trying to look up who the audiobook narrator is because I'm very into their voice. Because I have a whole thing with sounds because I have synesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
And so the narrator is very important. Hold on, let me. Speaking of horrible sounds,
While you're
the
looking
ninth
that up,
narrator.
um,
Okay.
for people who are on Book Talk, there is a creator and it's Brit and her books. And I love her because she has these whiteboard drawings and a pointer. And so she'll always be like, things that I don't understand. She's like, you guys are not paying attention because these are, I'm telling you what my opinion is. And people are always in the comments like, well, this is wrong. And she's like, part 58, why I think these things. And so she recently did one where it was like, she's like, I made a mistake by looking up the voice actors, the voice narrators of these books because they just don't match what she has in her head. And she did not list any names, any authors, any books, like no actors, like nothing, right? She was just like, they just clearly they just don't look like what I had pictured in my head because I'm picturing the character in my head. And then I look them up and they're just like a regular human. And so then an author had replied back to her and was like, oh my God, how dare you talk about my good friend so and so? And Britt is
Oh
like
my
scratching her head, like,
God.
what? And
What
she's like,
a crazy.
why would you out your opinion about your friend in this way? Because she's like, I did not. She's like, first of all, that's not even the person I was talking about. Second of all, why would you say this about your own? Why are you implying that your own friend is ugly?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
People just be telling on themselves left and right.
All the time. All the time.
It's Moira, Moira, Moira
Mhm. Moira?
Quirk. And you know why her voice sounds familiar and soothing is because she voiced some of the Skyrim characters, like the video
Oh.
game. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I
Yes.
love voice actors.
Yes.
What? I mean, just like, in my opinion, that's like such difficult acting work because you are literally only using your voice.
Yeah. Yeah, she's done a lot of stuff. She voiced some tales or some voices on um What's New, Scooby Doo? Codename Kids Next Door and Johnny Bravo. She's done a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
Anyway, I like her voice a lot.
Oh, that's really nice. All right. So
What are you reading?
I have started A History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw like 3 times. I've started as an audiobook and then like as an ebook, and now I have it as like a physical book. And it is a good book. I
it
just
sounds
keep
cool.
forgetting that I'm reading it. But I'm sure like once I get a little further in, you know, I'll be like hooked. It is a
ADHD be
good
like,
it is. It's truly, truly. Um it's kind of I think it's like a murder mystery, magical realism type book. So I'm into
okay.
it. I just don't know why I keep forgetting that I'm reading this book.
The History of Wild Places.
A History of Wild Places, yeah.
Okay.
So the protagonist
Interesting.
is not a detective, but has like a knack for solving murder mysteries.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
into it.
hmm and there's like some other stuff that's happening that I'm just like not telling you, obviously. Yeah. But it came like pretty highly recommended, so I think it's gonna be good. And then Laura Lee, anyway, is an author, and she has this Tempting the Beast series. And I don't know how many books are in it, but I started with like book 3 because I thought it was going to be about werewolves, and it's not about werewolves, but it's fine because they're just like they just give off like an 80s I don't know, like an 80s melodrama where it's like trying to be actiony, but it's not like super intense. It's just kind of like enjoyable in its silliness,
Oh
you
yeah, I
know?
get that.
Okay, so
Like
it's
the way
kind of like that.
Twister was fun. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but it's not
Yeah.
like, you know, but we're not like, oh my God, the graphics were just like state of the art and like the character development was like, you know, innovative. We're just like,
This is
it's just a good
fun.
time. Yeah, it's just a good time. So I read a couple of
Yeah, I
those and
like
they're
it.
pretty good. And like they're not werewolves, but basically humans have apex predator genetics spliced into them. So
Oh, no, that could
they
be fun. I could see that.
yeah. So but it's I thought that there would be more of like the genetics that would come out, but sometimes they just like growl animalistically
Oh, okay. Whatever.
and are like
They have
insanely
like
buff.
instincts.
Yeah, they can like hear and like smell, you know, above average, and they're just constantly muscular,
Fair
obviously.
enough.
Yeah.
I like a good hot guy.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like oddly possessive, also. So whatever.
Also a
That's fine.
good toucher and you die.
Yeah.
On our break, I read a ton of Elle Kennedy. Like her new The Charlie Method came out. Um, and it was good.
Mm.
If you like sports romance. And so then I kind of worked my way through Elle Kennedy's whole catalog, just rereading and then reading some I hadn't read before, because that's what I
Yeah.
do when I get
Oh
into a
yeah.
little groove.
Yes, I have seen her covers. They're all very cute.
Yes.
Um, and then on the swinging wildly in the other direction, I
Mm-hmm.
also read Galatea by Madeline Miller.
Oh, oh, was that good?
Oh, it was so good. It's a short story, so it's only like 30 pages. It takes you like, you know,
Oh,
20 minutes to
I'm gonna
read.
read that. I'm gonna check that out right now. Actually,
It is so, so good. In fact,
I need to read it.
I I didn't even know about Galatea um as like a character in ancient Greek mythology. Um but it was just such an impactful story. I think even in like this time and place that we're in as a society. And I was just like, yeah,
I
hell
feel
yeah.
like I'm gonna read it to Brenly tonight.
Yeah, you absolutely should. It's incredible.
I'm
Um
excited. Thank you.
yeah. I mean, like I really feel like the end is kind of just like, well, if you can't beat them, sink them.
Well, that's how they be.
Yeah, you know, kind of where we are. So just felt really yeah, this is a really good one. I really 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 like that one.
What are you watching right now?
Oh, thanks for asking. Jack Reacher on Amazon.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I have never watched that.
Listen, I also have never actually been interested in Jack Reacher. I mean, there's like all these books and there's all these like Tom Cruise movies, and they've redone it like a bunch of times with like, what's his name?
Mm-hmm.
John Krasinski, like all of these different actors.
Wait, have I watched this then? Because I've definitely watched an Amazon show with John Krasinski. Krasinski?
This is, oh,
Krasinski.
he's like in a different one now, but this does not have John Krasinski. It has this other
Okay.
actor. Hold on.
Okay.
Alan Richson.
Okay.
And based on, so like, I don't actually know a lot about this character, but I know that this is supposed to be like a 6.5 foot tall, just really beefy former military guy.
Yeah. Like a
Right. So,
himbo.
right. Exactly. Not Tom Cruise, who's like 5 foot even.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right. Like blonde hair, like blue. It's like very much Alan Richson. Like, that's just like the perfect casting. But anyway, I had not considered watching this show until I had seen something about how Alan Richson had gone to school with, what's that terrible
Okay.
politician?
Sorry. The John Krasinski show is called Jack Ryan.
Oh, it's not, yeah, that's a different character, I think.
I was like, that doesn't feel right. Okay.
Yeah. You, you know what?
Okay.
Close enough.
I was really like, I feel like I watched that. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what is it? A white guy who's tall and like moderately good looking, who's in an action, who's like former military, goes on like secret
Yeah.
missions, and it's actiony.
It does feel the same. It does feel the same. I totally get it, but I was like, weird that they would redo that so soon after that came out. But okay.
I also thought that. But then I was like, oh well. Didn't
Hollywood,
think
what are you
about
gonna
it again.
do?
What are you
Anyway.
gonna do? Yeah, I was like, reboots are like the big thing. Whatever.
Critical thinking, never heard of her.
Yeah. No, I don't have time for that. I'm doing so much critical thinking in so many other areas in my life. I
You
literally do not
are.
have time. I do
You
not
are.
have the bandwidth.
You're correct.
Anyway,
Anyway, himbo
seen
energy. We like it.
yes, I'd seen an article where Alan Richson, the Jack Reacher guy, had gone to
Mhm.
school with Matt Gaetz, the politician, and hates him. Hated him then,
Okay.
hates him now.
Excellent. Okay. I was like,
And then I was like, you know what? Jack Reacher is looking pretty
let's give
good.
him a chance.
And is it the best writing? No.
No.
Is it the best acting? Also no.
Also no.
But you know what? For a himbo show, perfect.
Excellent.
I don't have to think
I'm
too
in.
hard. It's just like those books I was reading. That's like, it feels like silly silly 80s action. Like
It
it
feels
kind of
like
feels like that.
popcorn. It feels like popcorn. Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
like
is
it.
popcorn. It's wonderful.
I'm into
It's
it.
fantastic. Yeah. And Alan Richson is like, he is exactly my type. When just look at the stats of this man. Okay, he's 42 years old, which is in my age range. Oh, you had your window open? What a strange thing to do in Oklahoma. Was the temperature just right today?
Yeah, it's the perfect. It's our 2-week window of spring. It is the perfect temperature.
Crazy.
But there are annoying dogs. My mean neighbors next door have mean dogs too. Shocking. So
oh yeah,
they're barking.
I'm not surprised about that. But anyway,
It is 68 degrees.
Oh, that's actually quite nice. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so I don't remember where we were.
Popcorn show.
Popcorn show.
Oh, sorry.
Very good. Very good to just like zone out.
I need you to know I'm watching like 85 shows right now, though.
Why are you watching
It
so many
feels like
shows?
it. I don't know. I somehow just got sucked into them all. Like, okay, so I started watching The Pit, which, I'm a sucker for a medical drama because I love to pick them apart.
Mm-hmm.
The Pit is so good. Like, it's so good. They don't even take like a ton of license. Like, it's so good medically. Like, I've only seen like a few big mistakes. Like, the one off the top of my head, like I saw them put like a barehanded scolopine patch on. Sculpamine, whatever. I can never say that right. And I was like, enjoy your nap later, sir. But it's so good. Like, I can't recommend that show enough. Like, if you like medical dramas, you should watch The Pit. Like, it's so good.
But is it stressful to watch?
Yes.
Okay. See, this is why I do not watch The Bear, because it's too
Okay,
stressful.
well, I don't know if it is stressful if you it's stressful for me because I can feel it. I don't you know what I mean? Like, I can feel the tension, but I'm also so I don't know. You should try like episode 1 and see how you feel about it because it is so good. Like, did you like ER?
Yes, which that was also a long time ago, in which Noah Wiley was also on. So I was.
Well, he is fucking stunning now. Like, he was
I
like
think he always
cute
has
then, you
been.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's grown with us, right? Like, he
Hmm.
was so he back then he was like a heartthrob and now he's like zaddy. Like
I love it when that happens.
yeah. Anyway, but like this is like it covers one shift at the in the ER like an hour at a time.
Mm, that sounds terrible. Like the shift that
Yeah,
never
but it's so
ends,
good. But
which is
it's so
probably how it
good.
feels in
It's
real
so good.
life.
Yeah, it's so good though. Like, I can't recommend it enough. And I also started watching Gross Point Garden Club,
Hmm.
um, which is not stressful. It's like Desperate Housewives meets How to Get Away with Murder. So if you need a show like that, I would recommend that.
Okay. I usually save my watching for when the kids leave for the summer.
Yeah, no, it would be a good one for that because it's you know what? It's not as sexy as Desperate Housewives though.
Which is crazy because Desperate Housewives was like prime time, like ABC. Like it was like
Yeah, but there was so much, or it felt like it at the time. Maybe I'm misremembering. Just felt like everyone was sleeping with everyone else, but maybe I'm wrong. But
they
Grey's
were.
Anatomy was also prime time.
Yeah, and everyone was definitely sleeping with everyone. And I think to some extent they still are, but we just don't know the characters as I just stopped watching so long ago.
Yeah, it's been like 20 years. So, but yeah. And then I've watched a few episodes of the show Watson. Um, and I want to love it. I want to love it so much, so I need somebody to convince me to love it. So, of one of our 3 listeners, if you could convince me to love it, I would love for you to do that because I like a ton of the actors that are in it. I love a good Sherlock Holmes reboot. I love those. Again, with the medical drama, it's like it should check all of my boxes, but it's not doing it for me, and I need it
Hmm.
to. So figure it out.
Oh, so interesting. I had not even like heard of this show.
Yeah,
Huh. See, this is
and
how like far removed I
uh,
am.
I forgot. Oh, B and I have been watching Ginny and Georgia also because I've never watched it
Oh,
before.
I hear it's a cute show.
I would not use the word cute, but it is good.
Oh, oh dear.
There's a lot. There's a lot that happens in it, but it's a good segue into talking to your kids about really important topics
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like self-harm and how to bring up hard topics, pregnancy and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that one will be a good one, a good one for Grace and I after we wrap up Demon Slayer.
I don't know if Grace is ready. How does she feel about sex?
Well, I guess still pretty grossed out by it, or like not ready for it. So
Yeah, I don't know
perhaps
that
not
she's
yet.
ready.
You're right. You're right. Perhaps
it
not.
Yeah, there's some pretty explicit, but not explicit. I don't know if she would get it yet. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Mm-hmm.
you could take out this chunk if we need to. But like, it's basically tells them how to give a good blowjob.
Mm. I don't think she would get it.
I don't think she would either, but like, it definitely does it. And I'm like, oh, and I was like side eyeing Brinley.
You're like, is she understanding what's happening here?
Yeah, and she definitely was. So there was that. That was fun for me.
Oh. Uh,
Yeah. But it also like empowers, like he overhears her talking about how boys watch porn and it gives them an unrealistic expectation, and then you end up sleeping with men who like don't know what they're doing and it ends up being awful.
mhm.
And so then he comes around later and does a better job. So
Yeah, but like,
it's not all. Yeah.
do they actually come around and do a better job?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping for the next generation. I'm trying to be hopeful, but I mean, we definitely had to talk about respecting, like boys who respect you and make you come first. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Nothing's changed in like 1,000 years, so
I'm saying depressing.
depressing. Well, how do we feel?
Feel good.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
to be back.
It is good to be back. It is good to be back. I think the next time that we record, we'll be in the same time zone. So I'm going back to
Hey.
the Midwest for the kids' spring break to visit my mom. And so we won't be in the same place, but we'll at least be in the same longitude.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
Maybe I should drive up and we can get pho. Well, how far is it? 4 hours?
What is it? It's only a
Maybe I
4-hour
should.
drive.
I
You
It's the
absolutely
Midwest.
could.
That's like a Midwest just down the block.
Yeah. I mean, basically, yes.
Oh, it's just 4 hours. Maybe
It's
I
just 4
should.
hours. Maybe we should. We should recreate
I'll think about it.
our girls' spa vacation that we had, but
Oh, we
not
should.
that one, not that location.
Not
I'm
that
sure
one.
there's no. I mean, it was fine. I've
Yeah,
been
for
to
some place
better.
that's like super hype like that, though, it was
Yeah.
very mid.
Although there's supposedly a haunted swimming pool that I didn't even explore.
Know
So
about. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
bummer.
Also, I need to come and say hi to your mom anyway because she loves me.
She does love you. She asks about you all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yes. So I'll probably make a trip up there. It's fine. I mean, I drive to my parents like all the time, and it's an hour and a half, and that's basically halfway. So,
That's so funny.
and then I could see you like twice in the same month. It feels like
Oh
a
my
win.
God. That does feel like one. That's incredible. That's so much fun. I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay.
Okay, and I'll bring Brinley.
Yes. I was like, wait, where's Grace going to be? because my mother-in-law, I was like, how many days would you like to see the children? And she was like, two. She was like a minimum of 2, at least 2, maybe 3 days, like overnight, And I was like, great, yours. They're yours.
Bye, kids.
Yeah. I was like, how do I say, like, is that all? You don't take them for more days?
You want 4 or 5?
And she's always like so polite. Like she always like minimizes, like her requests. So she's like, oh, I can do like fewer days. And I'm like, girl, why are you going in the opposite direction that I need you to go?
Yeah, just
How about I just push them
maybe
out of the plane with a parachute and they just land on your property?
hit the mother-in-law, John.
I really did. And sorry, ladies, she's all mine. I'm not sharing.
Like, even if something happened to Adam, he would be like, no, she is still mine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't even think you understand. Like, you, Adam, you got yourselves. I got Sherry. Like, I'm just gonna have to, I should have had a prenup where I just wrote in, like, you can have everything. I keep Sherry.
Yes, honestly. Okay, my child is glaring at me, so I suppose she wants fed again. They want fed all the time, all the time.
All right. Until next week.
Okay, love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.